Hello and welcome to a dumbass explaining Ace7 special weapons. He's got nothing better to do. These are all my personal takes on the special weapons, and some of my problems with a few of them might just be skill issues, but whatever, it really doesn't matter. So, yeah, enjoy the bullshit, I guess. Yeah, let's get into it.
Nice work. You pulled off a perfect landing.
Let's start off with our non-special weapons, the standard missiles and machine guns. They can be found on every single aircraft with two exceptions, those being the ADF-11 and Dark Star, specifically referring to the machine guns, as they are replaced by pulse lasers. Standard missiles can be found on every single aircraft. They are your multi-purpose missiles, which means they can lock onto any kind of target, ground, naval, air, anything. They're pretty decent, all things considered. Relating to the machine gun now, it basically does, it's kind of, it's your secondary weapon. You fall back onto it if your missiles aren't doing good, or if you just can't hit your target. Or if you need to quickly finish off your target without wasting your missiles. So that's pretty much their whole purpose. Now for the 4-target air-to-air missiles, basically it's self-explanatory there. Air-to-air missiles, meaning they can lock onto ground targets, that target up to 4 air targets. Although they can be basically used as a replacement for your standard missiles because they're actually they're better at air-to-air combat. So if you're in multiplayer, consider not using standard missiles if you have multi-lock missile when you're in.
Nobody told me there was this many nearby. Incoming Allied fighters. Respond.
Six-target air-to-air functions pretty much the same as 4-target air-to-air, except instead of 4 targets, it targets 6. However, they also do have better homing and range without upgrades. They're one of my personal favorite multiplayer special weapons. They are very useful, especially if you just slam on maneuverability onto your fighter and the missiles. They can pretty much one-shot, two-shot most aircraft. They can one-shot most aircraft in the game. They can two-shot some aircraft, such as the YF-23, or the F-22, or the Su-57. However, typically you're going to want to fire 1 or 2 in multiplayer because there's better damage parts in multiplayer that you can equip onto your missiles. Again, consider using them as a replacement for your standards, because they're better than your standard missiles. Though it is more recommended to use your standard missiles instead of them in extremely close quarters, due to the fact that they take a minute before they actually start adjusting their trajectory in the air, unlike standard missiles. When it comes to multi-lock air-to-air missiles, 8-target air-to-air, while the name isn't self-explanatory, has its own unique quirk. 8-target air-to-air missiles are capable of locking multiple missiles onto a single target, the maximum being 4, meaning that with a single press of your firing button, you will end up firing 4 missiles at a single target. However, the missiles lock on one by one, meaning that in order to not waste all of your missiles, as soon as your missiles lock on, as soon as one of them locks on, that is when you fire if you're trying not to use up all of your missiles instantly. You know, like an idiot. Don't use up all of your missiles instantly. Dumbass move. However, it is also recommended that you do not use them as a replacement for your standard missiles, as they actually take a excruciatingly long time to actually start changing their trajectory. They also have the longest target lock range out of all air-to-air multi-lock missiles, meaning use them at longer ranges, make sure to make them more maneuverable, and yeah, happy hunting with your shotgun missiles. Yeah, that's basically it. Enjoy the rest of this video real quick. For target air-to-ground missiles are air-to-ground missiles, meaning they only fire at ground and naval targets, that fire 4 at a time. They're functionally for target air-to-air, but for the ground. Like standard missiles and air-to-air missiles, which I've forgotten to mention, they have no splash damage, meaning that if you ever so slightly miss your target, you are not getting the hit. However, because they are guided, that's not really an issue, but still keep that in mind.
Target destroyed. 3 to go. Continue to engage at your discretion. Enemy interceptors inbound. Prepare to engage in 30 seconds.
Wilco, here they come. Take them. Vision. They also mess with your...
They are excellent for taking out small or large groups of ground targets, whether they be close together or separated. They're also very powerful in air-to-air, even though they can't lock onto air targets. They can actually do pretty good damage to bombers. So if you want to save on your missiles, fire it at bombers. 8 target air-to-ground are air-to-ground missiles, which fire 8 missiles at once. They have the same quirk as 8 target air-to-air missiles. They're functionally the same thing, just ground targets. They are decently effective at destroying larger groups of enemies for target air-to-ground missiles. And because you can lock multiple missiles onto a single target, they're also really good at dealing with heavily armored targets, such as ships. That's pretty much it. If you can actually, like, aim them properly to hit the ships, good on you. One interesting tidbit is that there is no 6-target air-to-ground, unlike the 6-target air-to-air. I'm not sure why this is, but I think it's for the sake of... because there's no reason to have them. Still a bit annoying, though. But, yeah, just that little tidbit.
There they are.
Leave this one to our friends.
Wish we'd used that hole to get home, too.
Things don't always go perfectly.
HCAAs, also known as high-capacity air-to-air missiles, are air-to-air missiles that do slightly more damage than standard missiles and have a high capacity of them on board the aircraft. They are excellent at air-to-air combat, as that is what they are made for, but their reload speed, their base reload speed, makes them great when paired with standard missiles. You can fire 2 high-capacity air-to-air missiles. If you miss, switch to your standards. If that misses, you can switch right back to your high-capacities. And then, yeah. Or you can focus your entire multiplayer build on HCAAs and just spam. No one likes a spammer, though, so fucking don't. Okay? Don't be an ass. Don't bombard everyone with missiles, please. HPAAs, also known as high-power air-to-air missiles, are air-to-air missiles that do a lot of fucking damage. Like, a lot. They can one-shot, like, pretty much any aircraft in the game. in multiplayer, they're also very good if you have the... They can one-shot pretty much anything if you have the level 2 upgrade on damage. However, their downside is their speed and homing capabilities, which are kind of not... They're subpar. They're subpar. But it's decent. It's good. Now, basically... Yeah, that's basically all I have to say about them. Yeah, they can one-shot pretty much any aircraft. HVAAs, otherwise known as high-velocity air-to-air missiles, are decently high-damaging, very fast air-to-air missiles. Basically, just very fast. That is the whole thing. They can one-shot, two-shot most aircraft. They have a decent lock-on range of about 5,000 meters. They're also just really hard to dodge if you're firing them directly from behind the target. They are impossible to use at short ranges due to the fact that it takes them a while to actually start changing their trajectory. So use them exclusively at long ranges, as that's what they were designed to be used for. That is all. Long-range air-to-air missiles are exactly that. Long-range air-to-air missiles with a 10,000 meter lock-on distance, alongside doing very high damage. Basically, with the level 2 damage upgrade in multiplayer, you can one-shot pretty much anything. However, they aren't as fast as HVAAs, and their homing is better than HVAAs, however. That's basically it about them. Again, only use them at longer distances because it takes them a while to start changing their trajectory. I do recommend you use them. Again, with some, if I don't specify that you should use this to replace your missiles, do not use it to replace standard missiles. I beg you, do not. So, yeah, that's all. LACMs, otherwise known as Land Attack Cruise Missiles, are long-range anti-ground missiles. As the name suggests, they do a lot of damage, capable of taking out an entire Aegis vessel in a single shot. You can also use them like bombs. Like in that clip, you just gotta ram yourself directly into the ground. Or, yeah, like that. See that? Boom, take out an Aegis ashore. Actually, I didn't fire. Look. Take out an Aegis ashore, single shot. Boom. Now, thing about this, it's better at being an anti-ship missile than what it's supposed to be used for, right? And it's also better than the long-range anti-ship missile at being an anti-ship missile. It's funny. The anti-ship missiles, despite being labeled long-range anti-ship missiles, suck at long range. Like, 2 of them can't fire. Actually, why am I talking about these? Basically, Land Attack Cruise Missile, very good. Do a lot of damage. One time I got taken out by a guy in multiplayer using these. Just lines up with my aircraft from... I can't explain it, but yeah. It's very good. Very good special weapon. LAGMs, otherwise known as long-range anti-ground missiles, are long-range air-to-ground missiles with a decently sized splash area capable of doing that right there, what you saw before the restart. But yeah, basically they're splash damage missiles that do a decent amount of damage. Although in order to take out a tank, or an ad tank, you need to have it be a direct hit. So if you're trying to take out a large group of tanks, You gotta fire 2 of them, just so you're sure. So you're sure. That's pretty much it, I think, about them. They're actually, again, better at being anti-ship missiles than anti-ship missiles. So, yeah. No, seriously, they are actually better at being anti-ship missiles. That is all. Speak of the devil, anti-ship missiles. In my last time using them, my opinion has slightly changed on them. Even though they're still not good at what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be long-range missiles. They're really only good if you just use them like bombs. You just line yourself up, and then you just deploy them before the enemy can intercept them, like just right above them, basically, right next to them, at like hyper short range. That's the only way I've seen that they're actually good. Yeah. They're also good for ground attack. They're actually better at that than anti-ship warfare, because they also have a larger, they have an area of effect. They're good at taking out Aegis vessels, I guess. They aren't capable of taking out the one aircraft carrier that is destructible in the game. Yeah, just water cruise missile can take it out though, but not an anti-ship missile. That's like designed for taking down ships, can't take it down. That is all. Why do I keep saying that? QAMs, QAMs, or quick maneuver air-to-air missiles, are hypermaneuverable air-to-air missiles, which have the ability to loop back around. If they miss, loop back around and hit the target. Right, they can loop back around. Now, they have a lock-on distance of about 3,000 meters. You can, in multiplayer, upgrade standard missiles to have the ability to loop around, but to less good. They do, quick maneuver air-to-air missiles do about 2 times the damage of a standard missile. Meaning it could one-shot most fighters in the game. Yeah, it's, yeah, that's, pretty much it. Don't spam these in multiplayer, please. No one likes you if you do. Stop spamming them in multiplayer. Your father won't come back with the milk. SOM, SAM, or semi-active air-to-air missiles are Fox 1 missiles, meaning that you have to keep the target centered in that little ring in the center of your HUD. They have about a base range of 5,500 kilometers, maybe 6,000, I'm not sure about that exactly. And basically just keep your target in the center of them, and your missiles will lock onto them. They can be used in shorter range combat. However, you should probably be using a more maneuverable fighter if you want to use them at shorter ranges. Or you just pray that your target doesn't move. Like this. You just pray your target doesn't move. They are quite useful in multiplayer in my personal experience. One of my favorite special weapons, actually. Very good. A neat little trick I saw one time is you fire them, when you're locked onto a target, you fire the missile without the person being inside of the ring. Then when the missile is close to them, that's when you put them back inside of the ring on your HUD, so they don't know the missile is coming. They know when it's coming when it's about to connect. Neat little strategy I found out. SASMs, not to be confused with LASMs, are short-range aerial suppression missiles. Despite being short-range, they have a longer base range than standard missiles at 2.5 kilometers. They have the unique ability to explode upon proximity to the target, upon which they do a small amount of damage, about 19% damage to your hull without any damage upgrades. Now, a direct hit can do about as much damage as 2 standard missiles, meaning this thing can one-shot most aircraft. They're also, as the game states itself, more useful against agile targets, even though that's completely false. They're more effective against non-agile targets, really. They're there just in case you miss. You fire, and if you miss, you still get in some damage, meaning you get more points. In multiplayer, at least. But in actual gameplay, yeah, it's better to just use them against agile targets, like in campaign. One of my favorite special weapons as well. It's very good. Now, here we have ADMM missiles, exclusive to the CFA-44 DLC aircraft. They are multi-lock missiles that could target up to 12 targets. They've also functioned like 8AMs in the sense that they can lock 2 missiles onto a single target. Another neat thing about them, they can lock onto anything. Air, ground, naval, anything. They're not limited like other multi-target missiles, they can just lock onto anything. They're yeah, go nuts, I guess. They're basically a combination of all of the missiles. They have the accuracy of 6AMs, the special effect of special effect of 8AMs, and I'm not sure how to include 4AMs, but like they have air to ground capabilities. So yeah, it's a very neat aircraft. It is very good. It is very good. Yes, it's a very good weapon. UGBs, also known as unguided bombs, are exactly that, unguided bombs, which are very powerful, and they have a decently large, not very powerful, but they have a decently large area of effect. They just do that. They can take out tanks in a single thing with the damage upgrade, and you can take out a destroyer with 2 of them. So yeah, they're very good. I'm starting to warm up to them slowly. Like you can just take out an Aegis right there, like that. Just 2 bombs, 2 missiles, poof, it's dead. Yeah. I don't know what else to say here. They're unguided entirely, as the name says. You just kind of drop them, like most bombs. Yeah, that's it. The FAB, also known as the Fuel Air Explosive Bomb, is exclusive to DLC aircraft such as the F-15 SMTD and the ADF-01. Now, it has a blast radius that is pretty fucking big, and is the length of fucking Alicorn submarine in the game, which is half a fucking kilometer. You can fucking vaporize half a kilometer area with this thing. Now, the thing about it is you can only... It has 1 charge. Like, you drop 1 and then it has to reload. Right? That's its interesting thing. They don't do much damage. They do about the same damage as a whatchamacallit, unguided bomb. But they do a lot of damage still. Which is good. They're a bit more situational than the unguided bomb, but they're still a decent special weapon. So yeah. One time I saw a guy actually take out a guy in multiplayer with this because of how close he was to the ground. So he got a kill with an air-to-ground weapon. SFFS, or self-forging fragment submunitions, are cluster bombs. So it's a war crime, but basically, at higher altitude, the higher your altitude is, the more the little bomblets are spread out. Basically meaning higher altitude, larger area of effect, however it's small bombs, right? Hence bomblets. Basically it disperses the small bombs in the air. So around, I'd say 200, 500 meters up is the sweet spot to get the most damage. They're very good against ships if you know how to aim them properly. Watch as I like, just take out all the container boxes over there with one single like fucking bomb. Look at that. They're by far one of my favorite air-to-ground weapons due to just how versatile they are. Like, I love running the F-15E with those. And, like, if you don't hit the target directly, some bombs will still hit. Which is really fucking good. They're available on aircraft like the Su-34 and F-15E. The FB-22 DLC aircraft and the F-14A, non-Top Gun Maverick. Yeah. Very good. Very good bomb, honestly. Yeah. Although if you drop it, like, directly above the ground, like, from around, like, a really low altitude, it won't do, it basically won't do any damage. It needs to be dropped from a higher altitude to do damage, so just keep that in mind, and you'll be okay. XSDBs, also known as Advanced Small Diameter Bombs, are basically just for-target air-to-ground missiles, Bomb Edition. Combine this with a fucking... like, just combine this with high reload speed, and you are unstoppable. Like, entirely. You cannot be stopped. It's exclusively found on the F-22 Raptor and FB-22 Strike Raptor and the Dark Star. You can also, if you drop them fast enough, you can also just barrage a single target with 4 bombs, which is fucking hilarious. Like that. I did that right there. Also, they, unlike for target air to ground, they have an area of effect. Meaning it's not just impact, where it's not just like a bullet, it's literally just an actual explosion area of effect. Which is good. Because you don't have to hit every single target with a bomb, you can also just hit them with the general area of effect. It also makes them great at taking out ships, because you don't have to hit anything directly with them. You could just fire it at all of the ship's weaponry alongside their ship and it'll do a lot of damage to it. If it doesn't destroy it, you could just swoop in with a missile or two. Its general blast radius is about the size of a fighter, so just, I don't know why I said that, just, yeah. You can also just drop them unguided, which is another positive over for target air to ground. So, yeah. It's neat. Guided penetration bombs are like the XSDB's little cousin. Because it's not multi-lock, and, it's just bad. It's like XSDBs, but not, it's just worse. It's on, like, very little aircraft. This might just be a skill issue, but I just don't like using it. It's also better at being an anti-ship weapon than anti-ship missiles. Again! Fucking hilarious, man. Just not a good weapon in my personal opinion. Like, whoop! Dead. Do not get me started on the SOD, also known as the Standoff Dispenser. It is exclusively available on the F-35 and XFA-27. It functionally drops a tiny little missile type thing which drops bombs that do very little damage in a straight line. The only time they're somewhat useful is if you're attacking from almost directly above, so all of the tiny little bomblets hit near that specific target. It's just a horrid weapon. I don't like using it. And it's the F-35's, like, the only other, whatever, like, it's just not a good weapon. It's not. I hate it. It sucks. The only mission I could see it being useful in is, like, Special Mission 3, maybe? But I don't see why you'd use it for that unless you're a fucking idiot. Overall shit weapon. Alright, the miscellaneous category of weaponry. Here we have the guided rockets. You can lock onto a single target with them and it fires a volley of 8 rockets. This weapon is exclusively on the F-104 Starfighter. It's better at anti-ship combat than anything else. Why would you fire 8 rockets at a tank? Why? But, yeah, it's pretty much the only thing it's useful for, anti-ship combat, and it's damn good at it. Like, look at this. Easily take out a fucking aircraft carrier. It's just, yeah. It's still weird that it's only on the F-104. It's not even on any of the DLC aircraft. It's just on the F-104. Weird. But, yeah. It's a decent weapon. Could probably even use it in, like, AA combat because it does have collision with aircraft. You just gotta be really fucking accurate to do that. But, yeah, you can do that. Something I thought I'd say. The EML, also known as the electromagnetic launcher, colloquially known as a railgun, is a railgun mounted to your aircraft's lower portion. Basically it. You just... yeah. You just fire it at something, and then boom. It go boom. It does the damage of about 3 or 4 missiles. I don't exactly know. I'm pretty sure I took out a destroyer with a single hit of it, so it's 4 missiles, I believe. So, yeah, you can pretty much one-shot every single aircraft in the game with this thing. It can be found on the XO2S, the F-18F, the Su-33, and the CFA-44. Yeah, I think that's it. It's a decent special weapon. It's very good. Very versatile, although I don't recommend you use it on ground targets. It's just not good at that. It is primarily designed to be used against air targets, like this. It's just designed for that, gameplay-wise. It's very useful in naval combat, as I've said. So, yeah, use it for that. Go, bitch. I don't know. Just go use it. It's a great special weapon. I love it. Now, here we have the pulse lasers. They're basically what it says on the tin, just laser cannons. They do very good damage. They're entirely unguided, obviously, and they're very useful for pretty much any form of combat. Air to ground, air to air, air to ship. Useful. Great. Love it. You have about 500 to 650 charges of it, meaning you can just fire it that many times. You can basically use it to replace your machine guns, and honestly, you should. Yeah. It takes skill to use, but it's good. It takes skill to use in air-to-air combat, to be specific. Like, you look at it just shredding through the ships. Look at it. I love it. But, yeah. It's very good. Oh god, it's the fucking tactical laser system. I hate this thing. It makes me want to kill myself every time I use it. It's just a bad special weapon. Like, you think, oh, laser, it must be powerful. No. No, it's horrible. It's horrible in air-to-ground combat, horrible in air-to-air combat, horrible against ships. It's a waste of a special weapon, honestly. You might as well just not have one. Also, that's something I forgot to mention. Any laser weaponry will dissipate immediately in clouds. Not immediately, but like, you need to be within like 200-meter range to be able to hit anything in clouds with a laser weapon. So please, for the love of God, don't use this thing. If you value your own fucking sanity. For your own sake. Don't. Here we have unguided rockets. They're like guided rockets, but you can fire them wherever the fuck you want, except they just kind of fire slightly off from each other. So it's a bit inconvenient, but whatever. They're very good in naval combat. That's like the thing they're best at, actually. Air-to-ground combat they're not particularly good in. You just see it decimate an Aegis. Especially if you're like attacking from above, that's when it's best at naval combat, if you're attacking from above. Look at it decimate this carrier. Look at it. MiG-21 destroys a whole fucking carrier through the power of unguided rockets. Fucking beautiful. Machine gun pods, also known as MGPs, are precisely that. External gun pods. They are usable in any kind of combat, air-to-air, air-to-ground, air-to-ship. Preferably use it in air-to-air. It's very good against... very good in multiplayer, especially if you strap a bunch of maneuverability parts onto the MiG-21. Upgrade the guns. You can just shred the enemy. Riddle them with bullets. Fill them with lead. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Okay. Look at fucking funny. Oh, it's still flying even though it should be in the ocean by now. Oh god, UAVs. Exclusively available on the ADF-11F. I hate these things. I hate dealing with them. And I also hate using them. It's not because they're hard to use. It's because they're too easy to use, especially in multiplayer. You just fire the fucking UAVs at one guy, and then they start shoot fucking pulse lasers at him. You can't evade it. The best you can do is, like, if you're on Yinshi Valley, maybe cause them to crash into a mountain or something. Other than that, you just gotta hope that you can turn faster than them. Too easy to fucking use, man. Also, the ADF-11 has its machine guns entirely replaced with pulse lasers, as I mentioned earlier, beginning of the video. It's just, I don't like the UAVs. They're too easy to use, and they're such a pain in the ass to deal with. And then we have MPBMs, also known as multi-purpose burst missiles. And basically, this is exclusive to the ADFX-01. The thing about this, though, is Yes, it has splash damage. It basically has a large explosion radius upon impact to a target. It can lock on anything. But the unique thing about this weapon is the fact that it not only does it have an area of effect, it does damage over time. It does damage over time. It does a large burst of damage at first, and then does damage consistently for a short amount of time in that general area until it dissipates. That is what is unique about it. It just does damage over time. Look, I just decimated the 2 aircraft while they were launching. So another neat thing about it is it can only be fired when your aircraft is decently level with, like when it's directly level, not like upside down or sideways or something. It needs to be level. You can't be pointed up, you can't be pointed down too hard. You just gotta be pointing straight. You gotta be level. And then we have MSTMs, also known as something standard missiles. Basically, it adds 4 extra standard missiles as a separate special weapon. Yeah, although they function slightly differently than standard missiles, because they seem to do slightly more damage. I don't know. Basically, it just gives you an extra 4 standard missiles exclusive to the XFA-27. You can basically just take out a single Aegis pretty much instantly. Just fire a barrage of 6 missiles at it. It is affected by special missile upgrades, not standard missile upgrades, but you don't even need to upgrade them. You can just spam fire them like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, there's a special weapon I don't have any footage of, because it's not really a weapon. It's the IEWS system, which is functionally just an ESM system and an fucking EW system. Its countermeasures, it makes your missiles behave better and your team's missiles behave better, but your enemy's missiles behave worse. I don't have any footage of this.